Why do we suffer at the hands of these politicians? Don't you know politicians work for you? You're the boss. You hire them and you fire them. Look at their campaign. You know what they do? They audition.
Yeah.
When you put them on the job, if they're not doing the job, then you fire them. Because you're in control. From the city to the state to Congress to the president. You run this.
Well, we are back here at Talk Labor, and you're with Jerry Williams, your host. And I have a great show for you tonight. I have some great guests that I think you're going to enjoy. Very, very knowledgeable people. Tried to spit that out, knowledgeable. And we're going to be talking about, they're going to be talking about the Chicago Transit retiree plan and the coalition that we've developed. And I think you're going to really enjoy this. We're going to talk about the lawsuit and all that. But opening up with me today, I got my research engineer, Brother Ronnie Roach. And Ronnie, how you doing, man?
Hey, Jerry.
How's everything?
Everything all right?
Yeah, you've been out there hanging out, man.
Doing the best.
I heard about you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, you know what I want to start off with, though? And I saw this on I started picking this up. I saw it around on television, listened to it on the radio. Situation here in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
These kids killing each other, shooting each other. You know, this is not something that just happened now.
Right.
I was talking, and Chris Kennedy let it slip out. He said what happens is Chicago is trying to have a all-white city. They want to break the city down to mostly white by running black people out of the city. Now, when you said that, I thought about it. He says, if you look at it, right now, black people really control Chicago. But they've been finding ways to get rid of African Americans for quite a while. Now, Ronnie, I'm gonna say this, and I want you to chime in, but these are things I want to get off my chest. One, remember Cabrini Green?
Yes, I do.
Remember the projects? Now, when we were younger, projects was the place to live.
Yes,
that was a beautiful place. But then they started running it down to slum areas, and then inducing drugs and killing and murders and stuff. Oh, we got to tear all these down. Cabrini Green and the others, we tear them down.
Mm-hmm.
Run these people out of Chicago.
That's right.
Right? But that wasn't good enough because you had so many. I'm done. Think about it now, folks. You had so many people, so many black people in Chicago. We got to find something else to get rid of some of these Negroes. So what do? You turn around and you start giving guns to these young people. Tell them, go shoot. Here's some money. Get your drugs. Go do. You may think it's far-fetched, but it's not. It used to be there was just crime in our neighborhoods. Now, if you notice, they're sticking up people on the Gold Coast now, right?
It's a move.
So
yes,
long as they are killing each other, it was okay. But they wasn't getting the message. They wasn't getting the message. So what did they do? They'll start killing some of their white folks. They'll figure it out. So when they start killing them on the Gold Coast, now the police got to a point now. Well, if you don't let us shoot you and murder you, we ain't gonna do no patrolling. I don't care. We're gonna just let them. That's what's going on right now. If you go and look at what's going on, think about this. It took them about a day and a half to get rid of the black people in New Orleans.
That's right.
Right? Day and a half. Then it took less than that, if you think about it. The cities that were mostly populated by African Americans. Gary, Indiana, got rid of that. And let's go to Detroit.
That's right.
That's where they really went after African Americans because they got rid of the auto industry. They started chiseling it up. Now, how do you get rid of the people in Chicago? Go right back to this thing. They're the worst in the world. this is what they call them, Chirac and all kind of stuff, you know, to make it look like this is the worst city in the world. Now, that ain't enough. Then they said, and then I'm gonna let you chime in, I may be to shut up everything, but then they said, let's close the schools down on them. What's the heart of our neighborhood? The schools,
Schools.
right? So if you close the schools down, you take the heart out the neighborhood. So what we have to do is be aware of that. We have to know that this is happening. Don't be afraid to step up and talk about it. Ronnie, this is your time to talk about it.
They closed, I just got a phone call last week, they're closing 4 more schools in our neighborhood.
Wow.
I just found out Harlan High School only has 398 students.
Really?
398. And Chicago is not number 1, New Jersey is. Philadelphia.
Yeah.
More people killed in Philly than there are anywhere else in the country.
St. Louis?
St. Louis.
Baltimore?
That's right.
Yeah.
Baltimore, New
But
Jersey, yeah.
They don't want to make us look like we in Iran or Iraq or somewhere, you know.
And another thing I want you to understand, that when these young people are being murdered in the streets, they harvest their body parts and sell them on the open market. That's a big business. Lady went in to see about her son. They called her and told her to come down to the funeral home. All his body parts, they stuffed him with newspaper.
Oh, well, I hadn't even thought about
They
that.
harvest the body parts on the open market. That's a multi-billion-dollar a year industry.
Yes.
Well, you know, I'm hard on them because it's true. I can't come up with any other answers for them to be closing schools down. When I went out there to Lincoln Way West, out in Tinley Park, big, beautiful school. They built another one and took those kids over there, and that big, beautiful school is sitting out there. I mean, it's like a college campus. That's what's going on with our tax dollars.
Right.
Our tax dollars. Now, speaking of tax dollars, you see what happened to what they call the Inglewood Four?
Yeah.
Them 4 young men that they accused of
Yeah.
murdering, and raping and murdering somebody, and then
15 years later,
it wasn't them.
right now.
And they knew it wasn't them.
Yeah, they knew.
Now they're going to pay them $31 million.
That's right.
Which I think it should pay them more, but $31 million of our taxes.
dollars.
Because these bums, and I'm not talking about all the police, because I love some of these guys that are policemen. I know some. I work with some. I'm talking about the bums that be out there trying to murder and beat people and stuff like that. Because these bums are doing what they're doing. That's why we're paying $30-some million, Roach, because these guys are not doing their job. They're out there. They're worse than the gangbangers. Yeah, the gangbangers would rather go out there and tangle with each other than to tangle with these guys that you walking down the street, shoot you in the back. Oh, well, you know he had a gun. Another kid walking across the street, 16-year-old kid, they turn around and shoot him 16 times and swear he was coming at him with gun. All the cops were saying that
He attacked me.
till they forced him to show that video.
Yeah. The boy in South Carolina that shot the brother 8 times in the back running from him.
Yeah, run away.
He
from
got 20 years. That ain't enough.
No. But anyway, do I get upset about that? Yeah, I do. And this is why we have to talk about it, folks. This is your baby. These are your babies, and you got to get out there and you got to know where this is coming from. Now, don't get me wrong. This don't excuse these numbnuts out there. These numbnuts out there that go out carjacking, shooting people, pushing old ladies, and men down, and taking their money. That don't excuse them. And back in the old days, as I said before, if you steal a horse, they used to hang you. So I ain't got no problem with what they had to do to you. But mom and dad, you know where that kid's supposed to be. That's your kid. You know where he's supposed to be. So, get a rein on that. I was just at a school today, and we called a meeting with the parents. Now, we got a great program going, with the Promise program.
Yeah, right.
We grab these young kids at 6th, 7th, 8th,
Right.
and even 9th grade, and we bring them in. We have them sign the affidavit. The parents sign the affidavit, and that these kids would not get into trouble, keep their grades at a 3 point or higher, and have a 93% attendance record.
Right.
If they do that and maintain through the high school, then they would get a automatic scholarship from the college.
Automatic,
We already
right.
worked it out with the colleges. We're going to explain a little bit more about that when we come back. I'm going to finish that up, but right now I want to take a break. We have to take a break, and we'll be right back after this. Okay, we're back, and as I was saying, Ronnie, I want to finish up that portion about where we are with these kids, and where we would take them and with the Promise program.
Right.
And you've been a big part of that. We take it with the Promise program. We take them and we have them sign an affidavit, and mom and dad sign an affidavit, and the kid would get, if they keep their grades at 3 and above, and they don't get into trouble and have a 93%, at least a 93% attendance record, they automatically got a scholarship when they graduate. We work that out with the colleges. And you know we give away how many millions every year?
Oh, anywhere from 7 to 19 million, on an average 19 million a year.
And one of our guests is going to come on later with us. He came down to our fair. And he saw exactly what was going on and how that worked. But we're going to continue to try to educate these kids. We're going to try to continue to make sure that mom and dad, you get involved. The kids are ready. They're doing their thing. We got instructors that are teaching them and giving them college preps and all that. We got the Chicago Police Department working with us. They are mentors when we need them, and we have tutors for the kids. So. But mom and dad, I want y'all to step up a little bit more. We had a meeting for the parents, and you know, out of all the kids that we have about 45 kids, only about 16 parents showed up. You got to do better. You got to support your kid. You got to support your kid. We ain't gonna let them fall, but don't let us have to hold their hand. These are your babies. These are your babies. So I'll tell you what, we're gonna do this. We're gonna take another break, and then I'm gonna bring on my guest for the night, because it's going to be a lively session, and I want you to hear. And we're going to be talking about the Chicago Transit Authority, pension plan, and the lawsuit that we filed, and the coalition to maintain our plan, our pension plan. So we'll be right back right after this message.
As tyrants take control of democracies, they typically do 7 things. Number 1, they exaggerate their mandate to govern, claiming, for example, that they won an election by a landslide, even after losing the popular vote, criticize any finding that they or co-conspirators stole the election, and repeatedly claim massive voter fraud in the absence of any evidence, in order to have an excuse to restrict voting by opponents in subsequent elections. Number 2, they turn the public against journalists or media outlets that criticize them, calling them deceitful and scum, holding few, if any, press conferences. Instead, they communicate with the public directly through mass rallies and unfiltered statements. Number 3, they repeatedly lie to the public, causing the public to doubt the truth and to believe fictions that support the tyrant's goals. Fourth, they blame economic stresses on immigrants or racial or religious minorities and foment public bias or even violence against them, threaten mass deportations, registries of religious minorities, and the banning of refugees. Fifth, call anyone who opposes them an enemy and hit back hard at them, questioning their motives or their character. Attribute acts of domestic violence to enemies within and use such events as excuses to beef up internal security and limit civil liberties. Number 6, they appoint family members to high positions of authority. Appoint their own personal security force rather than a security detail accountable to the public. And they put generals into top civilian posts. Finally, number 7, they keep their personal finances secret and draw no distinction between personal property and public property, profiteering from their public office. Consider yourself warned.
All right, we're back, and as I promised you, I got a room full of guests, and my guests are very, very knowledgeable about the plan, the pension plan, the CTA pension plan, and the coalition. Let me introduce them as I go around. We have from ATU Local 308, who's the secretary of the coalition. Her name is Suzette Smith.
Hi, Jerry.
Hey, how you doing, sir?
Finding you.
Great, great.
Thanks for having me on.
Oh, my pleasure. Next to her is Brother Tommy Little from ATU Local 241.
Jerry,
Yeah.
pleased to meet you again, man.
Oh, man, wonderful, wonderful. And we have Tommy, she's the secretary. This is the assistant treasurer, Tommy. And the president of the organization is Brother Claude Funches. Claude?
Yeah, pleased to meet you and be here with you, Mr. Williams.
Okay. And then we got Vice President Benny Rogers.
Yeah, Joe,
From
glad
AT.
for you all to bring me on board.
Oh, yeah, for ATU Local 240. Everybody knows Benny. I mean, you know, when we go to places like they stop him all down to, hey, Benny!
Yes, sir.
Everybody knows him. If you play softball at CTA, and we had one of the best softball leagues, I think, in the city of Chicago.
Yes, we did.
You knew Benny. Because Benny run around there trying to bet, man. I took some of his money when we messed with
So,
West
a lot
Side
of
Leo.
y'all a good team.
Yeah, we had a pretty good team back then. But we and you know, the organization that we worked for back then, the Chicago Transit Authority, it was so great. I mean, it was
Yes.
you felt good about
Yes.
the place that you worked.
Oh, yes.
You were proud
Oh,
to
yeah.
wear your uniform.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it was a great place to work. And then you had extracurricular activities, like the softball and all kinds of things you could do. And we had good managers because they came up through the ranks. These are guys you knew.
Yes.
They didn't just come and give you a break. They had to do their job, but it were people you could talk to. You know, you
Right.
had good rapport with them.
Yes.
Those were the great days, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Man,
Y'all
it was
started
like
together
family.
with them
Right.
people like you all.
Yeah, we all started, and you know, even when I became president of the local, myself and Brother Isaiah Thomas from Local 241,
Yeah.
when we worked with management, we weren't trying to kill each other. They knew that we represented our members. We weren't going to do anything to hurt our members. We were going to try to get as much as we could. And we knew that they worked for the company,
Yeah.
and they weren't going to do anything to upset that company. So everything that we could work on, we did. Things we couldn't, if we got to an impasse, what did we do? We go and file arbitrations.
Yes.
And we let the arbitrator make that decision. And we had great rapport. We went from, when I came on board, I think we had about less than $800 million in our pension plan. When I left there, it was $2.4 billion that we had brought that plan up to.
Yes.
And as a lot of you all know, our plan was raided by the people that were trying to gain power, which they did.
Let's just call them the powers that be.
The powers that be.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
Powers that be.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna just take ride roughshod on the conversation. I want to ask Tommy. Tommy, you I know that you play softball. You worked at CTA too, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. I came from the cotton fields to the medium class person.
Did you?
Yes.
Did you?
Yes.
But
So
you retired,
Yes.
and you were affected by what happened with this pension.
Yes.
And what do you feel? What do your constituents, your friends and stuff? How did they feel about when they saw what was going on with us? Like when we retired,
Yes.
we didn't have to pay anything for our insurance because we had paid that already.
Yes.
What we had done was deferred wages, they call it. We had put our money, instead of taking a whole lot of money in our pocket,
Yes.
we said put it in the plan.
Yes.
So when we retire, right?
Yes. Right.
And one of the things that we didn't have to pay for our insurance, but we already paid for it.
Right.
But then, what happened?
We had I would consider it a 401k that you didn't have to think about. And then you retire and it goes from zero financing from our point of view, from being financed as a retiree to paying for your retirement. And it was all because no one is standing up for the retirees, because there was no, whether the international, the union, they represented us while we were active.
Right.
The local represented us while we were active.
Correct.
But then once you became a retiree, everybody's spending your money except you.
That's true. That's true.
And you done put your money in that 401k to work for you.
Right.
So we're at between a rock and a hard place, and we're losing out.
Yeah. Well, Brother Francis, you as the president of the coalition, we're gonna talk about the coalition in a minute. But you also retired prior to 2007.
Yes, I am.
So you're caught up in that too.
I'm caught in the middle of it, and
Fortunately, the Supreme Court ruled in our favor, but it's just we had to suffer, and we're still suffering until we finish this. But go ahead.
right. Well, this is the whole thing. When you retire, you got your boundaries set. That this is how much I'm gonna be getting. I adjust myself to my livings according to my income.
Yes.
Yes. Whenever my income is interrupted, that means that I got to readjust my living style. And as retirees is getting older and dying out every day, I don't see nobody in their good mind that wants to depreciate how much money they get. Whether it's 2 cents or $200 coming out of your pension, for whatever reason, if you already have been sealed in, as they say in grandfather clawed in kind of like, then all of a sudden you wake up one morning, you get your check, and it's a different end, and you saying, wait a minute,
Yes.
what happened here?
Yes.
Well, this is where we stand now. We're fighting to get back to what we once did have,
Right.
not what we gonna get for years to come.
That's right. Now
They're
that's-
taking what we already got.
That's a good analysis because you're saying that, hey, we had a certain level.
Yeah.
This is where we were. And now you come in and say, okay, you had a certain level, but we're going to make you pay for your insurance now.
Yeah.
That's taking money out of our pocket.
Yes.
They didn't see it that way. Oh, they did see it. They knew. But they knew. But they said, okay, we're going to take this money out your pocket. And we were like, no, you can't do that. And we filed a lawsuit and all that. But, Benny, you could probably talk about this. Most of the other retirement plans have a cost of living with their plan. We don't. And I can talk about this all day. We're one of the few that don't have a cost of living. And then when you turn around and say, well, we're gonna take some more money out of you by making you pay for your plan, your health care. So
That's why I was so glad when you came out to start this, I don't know how many years ago. A lot of us didn't even know what was going on. I didn't myself, and it never crossed my mind. But I have to tip my hat to you and Tommy. I do, because you all was almost alone when you all was talking about that health care trust.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of us didn't even know what was going on. Now we find out that they just do what they want to do with our money.
Yes.
And I'm so glad that you all dug in and then start picking the people to try to help get this thing moving a little more. It is a good thing that we are starting now. This should have been done years ago.
Yeah.
10
Cost
years
of
ago.
living
Yes.
should have been implemented into our plan years ago. So I'm thankful to you and everybody else. I know Tommy, you too. I know you all. I saw you with my own eyes. So I'm thankful that you are moving this, and it looks good. And I hope we can get this moving with the coalition to try to get us somebody to.
We're gonna get it there. We're
That's
gonna
what
get
I'm
it
hoping
there,
for.
and you can believe that. Let me go to Sue. Sue is the secretary
Yeah.
of the coalition, and been knowing her a long time.
Yep. That was
And,
my motorman. I was his conductor.
Okay.
We're gonna talk about how long ago.
Yeah,
They gonna know how old we are.
Right.
Motorman conductor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Sue's been working labor for a long time, and I'm so happy that you stepped up into the position of the secretary, and I'm so happy we got quite a few people. We got somewhere around 500 people that signed up to the
Yes,
coalition
we
so far. And we want to try to get 5,000.
Yeah.
We're trying to get 5,000.
Oh, yeah.
So, Sue, can you tell us a little bit about how they get a card and stuff like that?
Well, Jerry, I look at it, CTA, when I came there, it was a family. When we started, it was like a family. And I just love working with y'all, but we have 500. But what I stress to everybody, when you give me your name, put your zip code, because I'm doing the mailing list, and I told Fences, Mr. Finch, what did I tell you on the phone? Give me your zip code, because if I
Everything,
don't
yeah.
get it, it's gonna come right back, and that's not helpful. And we need to stick together with this. We really do, because we're not getting any younger. We're getting older, and look like every time you look around, there's something happening to us. And,
Yeah,
and
we got to stay on top.
that's why we need everybody who's retired. We really need to spread the word. We need to really spread. I was just talking to Tommy about, we need to spread the word.
Well-
So they can join, because it's what, 4,000 or 5,000 on 241, and it's 7,241, and then 308, we
About
got.
3,000 to 4,000.
3,000 to
But let me do this.
4,000.
We're gonna do
Okay.
this. We're gonna take a break.
Okay.
And we're gonna come right back, and we're gonna discuss some more.
Okay.
Okay, we'll be right back.
Look around you. 1 in 4 kids in the U.S. faces hunger. It's not always easy to see the signs, but in this land of plenty, there are kids that don't know where they will get their next meal. Join Share Our Strength in Food Network and take the pledge to end childhood hunger here in America by 2015. Learn how at NoKidHungry.org. Their next meal could come from you.
Okay, we're back, and we're going to continue our conversation about the CTA pension plan, the health care, and also the coalition. And I'm going to reach around to Ronnie Roach, who's the treasurer. Ronnie, you know why we put this coalition together,
Yes, I do.
and we want to talk a little bit about the coalition.
Just prior to the new regime coming in, pensioners didn't need any protection. They were automatically protected. Guaranteed life insurance for life. And all of a sudden when the new regime came in, they just started giving stuff away. Now we have to stand up and fight for ourselves, because nobody, they don't realize they're gonna get old too.
Yeah, and what happened, and I just want to jump in for a second, is that in 1970, they put a amendment to the Constitution, the Illinois Constitution, that protected people that were on the pension plan,
Right.
because when new regimes come in, they look at it like this. They're really stupid. And I'm the majority of them. Because even when I come in, I wasn't as bright as one I thought I was. But when they come in, they're only thinking about me, how much money I can get. So if they come in and say you on pension, and we didn't have the protection that we
Right.
had. And they come in, they said, well, you know what, we want to put more money in our pocket. We got to take it away from them retirees. But what about the retirees? Oh, hell, they old anyway. They going to die. They going to die. So, this is the way they were thinking.
Yeah.
This is what they're thinking. So, I cut you off, but that's why that was put in 1970 to protect us on that. And you know what that, tell them what that said, that article.
It says that they cannot impair or take away any benefits that you've earned. In the event that they do take it away, they got to give you something equal or greater than what they took. It was Section 8, Paragraph 5.
That's exactly right. And
That's beautiful.
yeah, and it's like we knew that, and I knew that as president. And when they did this, I'm like, y'all can't do that because we have protection by the state. And they were like, yeah, right, sure you do. Really, that was the position. And what happened? The union did sign off on. I have to tell the truth. The union did sign off on it and agreed to allow them to do this. It was a bill passed in Springfield. But we did this. We took it and we filed a lawsuit. Myself, Ronnie Roach, Tommy Sams, and a few others. We filed a lawsuit because we knew we were standing on solid ground.
I'm glad you all did too.
Yeah, but and then what? The bad thing about it though, when we filed a lawsuit, you know who we fought the most?
The union.
The union. The union fought us.
I remember.
They fought us,
I remember.
and they tried to keep us off the property.
Property. Yeah,
They,
I remember.
they said we couldn't talk to their members. Wait, who the hell are you? We go. This is not Russia. This is not what is that North Korea?
Right.
But we did it anyway.
Let's understand something. The union 308's president has spent over almost $500,000 of the healthcare trust money fighting us.
They did.
That's a fact. He spent over $340,000 of the healthcare trust money fighting against us.
He told his members that.
We were in court. Me and Jerry, we went to court that one day. Do you know? And they didn't throw it out. Jay said they just kicked it to the higher court.
Right. That was the circuit court.
Sent it to the appellate court.
Right.
Before we could get to 95th Street, they was bragging about we got the lawsuit thrown out.
Yeah, this was the former president of Local 308.
Yeah.
And his name was Bob Kelly.
Bob Kelly.
This is what he said.
And the board member at 95th Street was bragging.
No, the big guy's the one that signed it away.
Oh, okay.
Bob Kelly was the Caucasian that
White
beat
boy.
him out.
Okay.
And he was out there fighting us,
Two
we
men.
got that thrown out. Those guys don't know what they're talking about. I said, son, that's the first battle. The war is not over yet.
Yes.
Well, guess what? The war's over now. But anyway, we won. But the coalition. Okay, here's what we're looking at, folks. On that pension board, there should be a pensioner sitting on that pension board.
Amen.
That's the first thing. Number two, let me digress. The lawsuit is in the stage now where it's back. We're dealing with the circuit court. As you know, we filed it. Circuit court ruled against us, and they ruled against the actives. We appealed it to the appellate court. Appellate court ruled against the actives, but they ruled in favor of the retirees, that we are covered. CTA then appealed us, the retirees, to the Supreme Court, and we appealed the actives to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court said the same thing the appellate court did. We ruled in favor of the retiree, but we ruled against the actives. And why do you rule against the actives? That was a question we asked. Our lawyers gave a great presentation. They said the reason they ruled against the actives was because the union signed the agreement away. Well, why didn't that affect, and CTA said, why didn't it affect the retirees? The appellate court and the Supreme Court said, because the union do not represent the retirees.
All right.
Okay? That's what they said. So now, that's how it got to where we are now. So the Supreme Court then ruled and sent an affidavit down to the appellate court to send it down to the circuit court. Tell the circuit court you got to change your decision and rule in favor of the retiree that they do have a right to be protected under the plan. That's where we're at now. CTA is fighting. These guys took a look at the interrogatories that the CTA we went over and over about what they're trying to. They're just trying to stretch it out as much as they can. But we're in the position of we'll wait. We'll go to the courts, and it's going to be done. It won't be taking as long as it did the last time because they can't go back to the appellate court, and they can't go back to the Supreme Court with this. Okay, so that's where we're at right now with that. Now, on top of that, we should have a representative on that board.
Yep. Yes.
Every other
pensioner entity in the country have all pensioners. Wherever there's what kind of new pension
Defined pension plan?
wherever there's a defined pension plan in the country, they have a pensioner sitting on that board officially.
And we tried to talk to some of the union leaders, Tommy, and you got resistance.
Oh yeah. And the thing of it was, Jerry, that everybody was too busy doing nothing instead of trying to do something for themselves. And if it had not been for you and Tommy Sands to keep knocking it out at the door of our heart, the door of our consciousness, you have a seat, but if you don't require that seat, someone will be sitting in your lap for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Yeah.
I give it to you and Tommy Sands. You guys kept knocking at the consciousness of our hearts that it's yours, but they're not going to give it to you.
No.
And when Claude said, let's do something. What, 8, 9, 10 years? That's a long time.
Yeah.
To try to get somebody to understand something that is so clear
Right.
that you can see your face in the bottom of the pool.
You know what they do? They do like that crazy guy in the White House. They keep pounding you and coming at and pounding you and dragging it till you say, "Oh, I'm sick of it. I'm tired. I give up." This is what this guy is trying to do to people.
Yes.
And a lot of people are aware of that, so we ain't gonna let that happen. We're not gonna let it happen because this is our plan.
Yes.
Right.
This is our plan. And Claude, you know as well as anybody that we should have a pensioner sitting on that board according to the law.
You're correct. But the point I want to make is this. I want to give you credit. You.
He deserves
I
it.
know
Right,
you don't want
yes.
nobody to say this, but
He deserves
you
it.
came out there. You a 308 man and came to 241 for 5 or 6 years.
Many times.
Many times, and a lot of the 241 was like, what he doing out
Right,
here?
right.
What he coming out? He from what? But I had to say this. It doesn't matter where he coming from, as long as we all are retired under the same regime.
All right. Amen.
Whatever affects 308 also affects 241.
Amen.
So I don't care nothing about what union he came from, as long as he's bringing some good substance to us, that we all need to take a taste of and look at it.
Right.
And there was very few still don't want to get
Yeah,
on board.
yeah.
And that's bring Mr. Little and Mr. Rogers and the ones from 241, they said, well, let's try to help do something. We roll up our sleeves and giving it our all. We ain't no pay. This ain't no pay.
Right.
You understand? We ain't looking for no positions or no pay. This is from the goodness of our heart, from one human being to the human race, that we are putting in our time and money too. When you go downtown, we went downtown, we had to pay $40 for parking,
Oh, because,
which we ain't got no money out of it. You understand? and that's when I said, this gentleman here,
So we know what he been doing.
he been going down there paying this money, but whenever the case is closed, he gonna get his percentage back, and all 7,000 whoever gonna get their percentage back. It's a class action suit,
Yes.
but it's one man fighting it almost.
Right.
That's the reason we had to get involved.
And we appreciate it because
Yeah.
you know, without that, but we're gonna do this. We're gonna take one more break, and we're gonna come back and we're gonna tell you where we're going with the coalition and how we intend to get there.
Yeah.
And I think you're gonna really, really like what we're doing. So we'll be right back.
Yes, yes, yes.
No, I don't know though. I'm scared. I mean, but you're so.
Do you know that you're in my lane? No, not at all. Are you not paying attention? Are you texting? I was just checking in with my mom. I was telling her that I thought we'd be home by 6. It's okay. There's enough time. Just pay attention. I'm not even halfway through my text. There's no way. I'm not even going to look up. My babies are in the car. You have to pay attention. It's just supposed to be a quick text. I'm so sorry.
Okay, so we're back, and we're going to tell you we're talking about the coalition and where we're going with the coalition. We, believe it or not, I've talked to very important people down in Springfield. They're ready to work with us because they agreed that we should be sitting on that board. One of the things that happened to that board, we used to have block votes. 5 for management, 5 for labor. You don't have that anymore because they passed this bill and gave it away. When you had to 5, CTA couldn't do anything without the union. And the union couldn't do anything without CTA. Now, if you talk about that's going to block things, never did. Like I said, when I came in office, it was almost $800 million in that plan. And then with the block votes, and with those block votes, we took it from $800 million to over $2.4 billion. So it wasn't blocking anything. But CTA wanted control of the plan. How do you take control? Take it away from the union. They did that. They took it away from the union. They got, they came up with a way to take the block votes away. It used to be you had to have 3 votes from the union and 3 votes from the CTA to move anything. Now it says the majority votes. Now they also got what they call an independent individual in there. And it's supposed to be impartial. But this guy works for the RTA, so how impartial is that? So CTA already has 6 votes, so they already win. But then the trade unions vote with the CTA every time, so they have 7 votes against the union's 4. So you don't have any power anymore. But we're gonna rectify that. Number one, we're gonna knock that trade union out because they have no business there. Let me explain the way it works per the law. The law says that from the union side, from the labor side, there should be 3. That for the highest number of members and participants in that plan, you're going to have 1 organization representing that, and they'll have 3 votes. For the second highest, you're going to have an organization representing that group, and it's going to be 1 vote. That's an organization, 2 organizations. Now they say for the rest of them, the highest of the rest of them, then you have to have a coalition representing that group, and that group will have 1 vote. The next, the 241 has the highest, 308 has the next highest, and the next is the pensioners. Pensioners are 7,000 plus. The trades only have about 200 people that they represent. So when they vote against us, they don't have any skin in the game. When we went to the Supreme Court, they produced a whole document stating that we don't deserve that money and it should be taken out on us. I got the document. You can read it anytime you want. I have the document. This is what they wrote. And they said we don't deserve it. How can they be sitting there as a union and do that? the majority of, people, they get a little angry at me a lot of times when I tell the truth, but the truth is this. The majority of the people that put that money up in that plan are people of color, mainly African Americans. Okay? You got 4 African Americans sitting there on the union side, and you got Caucasians from the trade unions. They vote with these guys over here, the CTA, 8 to 9% of the time every time they vote.
We had to lose at that rate.
Yes.
Yes, you
Yes.
lose. You're fighting a losing
And
game.
if we moved them out of the way, then it goes back to 5 and 5. You still got that one in the middle. But I think we can control that if we have 5. But if you got 4, and the trade's rolling with these people every time, they're going to take everything that they
Right,
can.
yeah.
And that's what they're doing.
They're doing.
They're killing you active people. I want you to ask yourself this question. They take out a large percentage of your pay for healthcare trust. Ask somebody. And if you find out, come and tell me, what are they doing with that money? They said that this is for when you retire. Folks, when you retire, you're 64, 65, you get Medicare.
That's right.
So that money, come back and tell me what they're doing with that money.
I know.
What they doing with that money?
It's a slush fund.
There you go. There you go. That's the truth. And so if you can come back and tell us that. Let us know what they're doing with that, Ted, because
That's deep.
it is. It really is.
That's deep. I ain't
Nobody-
never looked at it
ask-
that way. That's deep.
And if you're afraid to ask the CTA, ask your union representative, what are they doing with that money? If you're satisfied with the answers that they give you, if they tell you, well, this is the way God intended it,
That's a lot.
go sit down. Because that's not what it is.
Holy Jesus, bless the Lord, and go sit down.
But these are the questions you want to ask these people. What are you doing with that money? They built it up to $800 million that they've taken from you. We had economists come in, Tommy and I, and Ronald Rose, we had economists come in and give us the figures on how much a person could make paying that kind of money for the 40 years that they would retire. There was $14.1 million each individual would make off that money. If you were to take that $3,000 that you pay a year
Right.
for the 40 years, you invest that money, you would have a $14.1 million return. This is what the economist. If you don't believe me, go and get one yourself and ask them. So my thing is, if I was president, or if I was on the negotiating team, I would be going to CTA saying this. You know what? You're taking that money out for our health care at the end of my retirement, right? I tell you what, don't do that. Keep taking the money out, but we'll invest it ourselves,
All right.
right?
Yep. Yeah.
We'll get
Fine line.
investors to come in and invest it ourselves. When we retire, I bet you we're going to have more money than what you're going to give it. Because you're not going to give it that $14 million. Black folks, think. You're the only one that don't have a retiree sitting on the board. You're the only one that don't have cost of living. All this stuff is going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when they passed that bill, that encompassed all the entities in the state, fire department, police department, the professors at college, everybody. Guess only one entity got screwed, and guess who it was?
CTA.
Us. Right. The union went and fought for the police, they got it. They fought for the fire department, they won.
State
The
workers.
state workers fought, they got everybody wanted but us. But us, because our union was the only damn union that signed it. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why we gotta, you gotta be smarter than what you've been being. Stop that old friend, my buddy, and all that stuff. But this coalition, we got a lot of things we want to do, and we don't want to broadcast on television. We're going to have a meeting in January. We're going to let you know where that meeting is going to be. It's going to be in January. We're going to let you know where that meeting is going to be. We're going to bring you up to date on everything. I'm going to see if I can get the attorneys to meet with us at that meeting. so that you guys can talk. But it's only gonna be for coalition members.
All right.
Only for coalition.
Amen.
If you not a coalition member, you're not coming in.
All right.
Now, here's one other thing, and we're gonna wrap it up. Right now, there's no talk about a settlement. Okay, we're still trying to get all that money. But if there is a settlement and there's a settlement offer, only the coalition is going to make that decision. Only. If anybody tell you he don't know what he's talking about, check it out. The only person that can make that decision is me, because I'm the person on the lawsuit. I've handed that over to the coalition.
Yes, he has.
My thing is whatever this coalition says is what we're going to do.
And that's decent.
That's right,
right.
because
That's decent.
it's the retirees' money.
Right.
That's decent.
I'm a retiree, but I ain't out here trying to. Whatever the coalition said, that's what it's going to be. Yay or nay, it's going to be that. So, if you're not a member of the coalition, you won't have no say.
And it was decent for you to make this a class action.
Right.
Yes,
Sure was.
yes,
He didn't
yes.
have to do it.
You're
That
right.
was decent. That was decent.
Because somebody suggested that we didn't make the claim.
I'm telling you, that was decent.
Somebody said, let's just sue for ourselves. And I said, no, we're going to get everybody involved in this.
Let me say this. And another thing, there was so many memos, permanent memos, swore almost. It ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
You right.
They ain't gonna get
You
nothing out
right.
of it. They ain't gonna find out.
I heard it many
You
times.
understand? They ain't gonna get nothing. They ain't gonna get nothing. We haven't got anything yet, but it looks real good.
All
people.
right.
It looks real good. But if you don't fight for nothing, how do you know what you can get? If you don't even fight, at least you should try. And this is what we did.
And we got the
It's
Supreme.
really trying.
One thing we did get, we got the Supreme Court to rule in our favor.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
You know what? We could talk about this all night, and I just want to thank all you all for coming on.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having
Thank
us.
you for having us on.
That was really great.
Thank you.
And we got a lot going on, folks. You know, and we're all a family. And you know, what we're trying to do, what we all trying to do, is trying to make you get up and get off your duff and fight for what's yours.
Yes.
You know, it ain't no one man or one woman thing. It's about all of us trying to make everybody get up and say, hey, we ain't taking this garbage no more.
Yes.
You're not going to let this happen to us anymore.
Yes.
That's where we are, okay?
Yes.
Now we're gonna be wrapping it up, and we're gonna be back here next week, and have a gentleman that's a longtime labor guy. It's gonna be on next week, but you're gonna be hearing from the Pension Coalition team. You know, off and on, they're gonna be giving you updates. We'll try to have them back on my show, you know, again before we have the meeting and stuff, and we're gonna hopefully have some stuff to talk to you about. But we're gonna see you again next week at Talk Labor, and hey, you know what? I want you to check. I want you to check out this. I always leave you something nice at the end, so I want to check out this clip with the real first president, first black president. You're gonna get a kick out of this, so watch this, okay? We'll see you again next week at Talk Labor.
May I have your attention, please? Ladies and gentlemen, the 40th President of the United States.
Mr. President, Tom Matthews, UPI. Mr. President, earlier this year you said that you would travel anywhere in the world to further the cause of peace. Considering the worsening situation in the Mideast, are you planning a trip there in the near future?
We have no definite plans as of yet to go to the Mideast, but we do plan maybe perhaps in a couple of years if the settlement and the agreements have not been reached by that time.
Thank you.
Paul Onaki from Honolulu News. Mr. President, the Senate has voted to proceed with development of the neutron bomb. Don't you feel this will impede further progress in the SALT talks with the Russians?
Quite contrary to that fact, the matter of nuclear existence deals with atoms and atomic weapons, not with neutron weapons. The neutron bomb is a hold-cost weapon. It is not in the cellular realm of reality. We're trying to hold it in place and it's a neo-pacifist weapon.
Harris Richards, AP.
Yes, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to ask you a question which I'm sure the American people would like to know. Do you feel that within the fiscal year, the unemployment rate will drop below the 5% level?
Well, as you know, the 5% level pertains mostly to, if I may say, white America. In the black America, the minority situations is up to high as 45%. And we plan to, with all our efforts, try to lower that rate to about 20% in the black areas, and of course it will be lower in the white areas, of course. We're trying to do this and merge a United States.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Arthur Williams, Chicago Sun-Herald. You've just okayed a $250 million increase in our space program. What I'd like to know is the main reason you did this so we can finally recruit black people for the space program?
I feel it's time that black people went to space. White people have been going to space for years and spacing out on us, as you might say. And I feel with the projects that we have in mind, we're going to send explorer ships through other galaxies, and no longer will they have the same type of music, Beethoven, Brahms, and Tchaikovsky. From now on, we have little Miles Davis and Charlie Parker. We're going to have some different kind of things in there. That's right. Yes, ma'am.
Roberta Davies, Jet Magazine. Mr. President, on your list of candidates for director of the FBI, are you including the name of Huey Newton?
Yes, I figure that Huey Newton is best qualified. He knows the ins and outs of the FBI, if anybody knows the ins and outs, and he would be an excellent director.
Yo, Blood. Yeah, Brother Bell from Ebony Magazine. Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Assalamu alaikum.
All right. What you looking at, Snow White? Brother, about blacks in the labor force. I want to know what you're going to do about having more black brothers as quarterbacks in the National Football Hunky League. Okay. Right on?
I plan not only to have lots of black quarterbacks, but we're going to have black coaches and black owners of teams. As long as it's going to be football, going to be some black in it somewhere.
Right.
Doing something bad.
All right.
Because I'm tired of this mess that's been going down. Right. You know what I mean? Ever since the Rams got rid of James Harris, I've been my job in up top. You know what I'm talking about? So we're going to get down on the case now. Yes. What is it?
Mr. President.
Yeah, what?
Mr. Bigby, Mississippi Herald.
Sit down. Yeah, what is it?
Mrs. Fenton Carlton Macker, Christian Women's News. Mr. President, since you've become president, you've been seen and photographed on the arms of white women. Quite frankly, sir, you've been courting an awful lot of white women. Will this continue?
As long as I can keep it up. I mean, why do you think they call it the White House?
Mr. President.
Yeah.
Mr. President. Now, your predecessor, you know, President Carter, now his mother was a nurse before
What is your question about, sir?
My question, I'm leading up to my question. The question is about your mother, if you want to be famous.
It's okay. Please, let's take it easy. The man has a right to ask the question. Please. Please. Let's have some decorum here. Now, what is the question about my dear mother? Okay.
Now, your mother was a maid in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Now, after your tenure, if your mother goes back to being a maid, right? Will your mama do my house?